Hi, my name is Mr. Garcia, and I'm here to answer your physics question. Let me go ahead and pull up the question, and we can look at it together. So, the question that Mr. Charlie has asked is this: a cargo plane is flying horizontally at an altitude of 11.7 kilometers with a constant speed of 1,201 kilometers per hour. When a large crate slides out of the rear of the plane, how long does it take for the crate to hit the ground? The acceleration of gravity is 9.81 meters per second squared, and we have to answer in the units of seconds. Now, I see your answer is 48.8, which is correct. Cool. Good job, Charlie. I'll still solve the time with you together, and then I'll solve the other two parts because one thing we have to focus on, and I'm going to start drawing on here, is that we have two components we always have to focus on. We have the x, which is the horizontal, and we have the y component. And I'm sorry if my handwriting is the best. Okay, I'm still learning how to use the whiteboard, but perfecting it. So I see that you solve for time, which I'm assuming you use the kinematic that I know of is here. And I'm going to put my kinematics, I'm going to put it over here for you just so that we can see it, you know, here. And what we're going to do is we're going to split it into two pieces, okay? So I know you used probably this kinematic, which is one of our kinematics, which is D equals V initial velocity, which we could call not. In some areas, we call it VI, which is fine, times T plus 1/2 AT squared, okay? Now, this is the kinematic that works. Now, what you probably did and you assumed is you said, well, initial velocity is 0, acceleration is gravity, and you probably did some manipulation. But let's go from the very beginning and try to figure out why this works in one way and won't work in another. For example, we have to look and we're saying, hey, we're solving for time. Okay. Now, time is a very important component. The cool thing about time is that it solves both the horizontal and the vertical because time is time. There is no two pieces to it. Okay. So the cool thing is you can use this. But remember that since we're solving for time and we're using the vertical components, I usually put a vertical component to every single variable. Okay, yes, and I put a vertical in A. So we know it's dy equals v naught y times time plus 1/2 at squared. Now v naught is your beginning. Now the beginning in the horizontal is different. That's the x. But in the vertical, it's, oops, sorry, it looks like an X. It is actually 0. Why? Well, think of like a pencil, okay? You're starting in the beginning, the vertical at this point, starting 0. Now it's moving, okay? So automatically, because this is 0, guess what? We can now completely remove the entire component of the formula. So now we have dy equals 1/2 at squared. Okay. Now, acceleration. Now, the thing with acceleration, in the horizontal component, a car accelerating horizontally, 10 meters per second squared, things like that, that works. But because this is the vertical, there is only one factor when it comes to the vertical component. And that's the cool thing about, splitting the two pieces. And that vertical is that acceleration actually equals gravity. And we know that gravity is 9.8, meters per second squared. Okay. Again, I'm still practicing this. Okay. So because of that, we can completely change this formula to dy equals 1/2 times 9.8 times time squared. Now, half of 9.8, okay, if you want to do that in a calculator, you can. You have dy equals 4.9, right? Oh, geez. T squared. Now, dy is the height which was given. Now, the height that was given is the altitude, which is 11.7 kilometers, right? So we could put here dy equals 11.7 kilometers. Now, Here's the sad thing. We have to make sure, and I think I'm going over time, that 11.7 kilometers is in meters. Now, kilometers into meters, it's just multiplied by 1,000. So, and because I'm low on time, I'm just going to go pretty quick, and you can do it on your calculator here. So 11.7 kilometers, okay, is equivalent to saying that it is 11,700 meters, okay? Because we have, now if you're wondering, well, why do we have to change it to meters? Because the question's asking you to change it to meters per second, right? You have to change it to seconds. So now let's just plug in. dy is 11,700 meters. So we'll just put it in as 11,700. Okay. Now this 4.9, you know, if it's multiplying with the t, okay, opposite, you divide. So we're going to divide that 4.9. And remember, where did we get 4.9 from? Half of 9.8, right? Because we got that 1/2 in there. So 11,700 divided by 4.9 equals time squared. Now, just like x squared equals 49, always square root both sides. And congratulations, you have your time. And I'm going to put it over here. Your time equals, okay, 48. And I was looking down because I'm looking at my notes, 0.8 seconds. And I'm sorry, I'm still learning how to use this, okay? And now that was the first part to the question, which I know you successfully solved. Now remember, always keep this in mind. Time solves both the horizontal and the vertical components. So when we solve the next part of the question, we're going to use this time to solve everything else. But nothing else works this way. You always got to remember that time is the only component that solves both horizontal and vertical. All right, well, I'll do another video for part 2.